Hi, today I would like to discuss some useful animation tricks and techniques. There are many tools at your disposal, but my personal number one is a loop. We already touched loops during our previous meetings, but it's such a powerful tool, I think it deserves more attention. Bouncing balls we made this far are perfect examples of looping animation. Loops are sometimes also called cycles. But there's so much more interesting cases for using a loop. But why to use one? You already know that animation takes time and effort, so a loop is a great way to make animation a little bit more human-friendly. It saves a ton of work. We have been watching the same frames over and over again. That's a huge savings of time. In addition to repeating frames, there's one more interesting feature of a loop. And for a loop to be unnoticeable, it needs to return to the first position. What does it mean? Your first frame and the last frame needs to be very similar or identical. To have a loop, you need to return to your primary position so the transition is smooth. You can achieve that goal in a few ways. Number one, you can mark your set physically. So you can draw some delicate lines with a pencil or a pen, but they need to be quite delicate so they're not visible later in your film. Second one, you use application for that. And some programs let you use lines or different shapes for those markings. Those are later invisible in the final film. They're only visible during animation process. And the third one, and the most important, is using the same frames. Most of the programs let you copy and paste some frames. Do you remember our first motion sketch? Frames were numbered. Let me show it to you again. I'll animate a bouncing ball, but this time I'll add a number to every frame. So my total number of frames is 9, and it's just a half of the shot. So the other half would be exactly the same, but played in reverse. So I'll just select those frames, click copy, and then right click on the last frame and choose paste reverse. The frames are not only repeated, but also reversed. So now we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, and then 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we have full repetition. We have a clean cycle because those frames are identical. It's a very useful and very easy technique. That's why every animator uses them so much. Try looking around you and look for repetitions in real life. There is a lot of human locomotion, like walking, running, even breathing. We take the air in, we let the air out. And again, in and out. We have a bird's wings. We have a clocks with pendulum swinging left, right, left, right. We have bikes. There's so much more. Try to find them and try looking at your surroundings and your world through an animator's eye. Second tool worth mentioning are holds. What are holds? There are micro holds and long holds. A hold really is very simple. It's just pause frame. When to use it? Let's get back to our favorite example, bouncing ball. Let me show you a simple comparison. On the left, we have a regular animation. On the right, the same animation but with added very short hold. So there is a hold on the top when the ball reaches maximum height and slows down totally. And there is a hold on the ground, very short one. Different, right? So hold not only saves you work, but also changes the perception of movement a little bit, changes the dynamics. But holds are most powerful when used alongside loops. Let's try to animate breathing. I'll use Rise for the breathing animation. Why? because it's very simple to form different shapes. So I'll form, let's say it's a blanket that someone sleeps under, and it will grow when the person that is sleeping is taking some air in. So I'll start slowly, then quickly expand the chest, and then slow down at the end when the chest is fully expanded. And that's the half of our shot. We could reverse that shot as we did with a bouncing ball, but we don't let the air out as soon as we take the breath. We hold it a little bit, so that's why we need this hold. And we could do such a hold in a few ways. You can just take more pictures, but it takes a little bit of time and space. And you could also hold one frame for longer, so it will be digital pause. So it looks a little bit more artificial, but it's very fast and very easy. And you can do it in every software, Stop Motion Studio included. You just need to click on the frame, choose pause, and by using the slider, choose how long you want this pause to be in frames. So very easy. But you can use holds with regular non-looping shots too. Let's look at some birds. Look, the bird moves in a very particular way. The movement is very jumpy, it's very dynamic, so it moves and then stops for a second. There are some pauses in movement of the bird. It's quite rapid and then quite static. I'll show you those frames highlighted. Can you see that? So can you spot the pauses now without the outline? So let's try to animate the bird now. I will quickly cut out an outline of a bird and let's animate that outline. My animation will be very similar to a bouncing ball. The bird will be jumping, so I'll just go up and down. But then, when it's landing on the ground, I'll make more pictures. I'm just shooting some more frames, not touching anything, not moving the bird, just creating a pause, a hold. Or you could just tap last frame and hit pause in Stop Motion Studio. And the movement should be a little bit bird-like. So you can use holds this way too. And the last topic that I wanted to cover are arches. Why they are important? Because there are not many straight lines in movement, especially when we talk about living creatures, because our skeletons are based on rotational joints. Every movement we do through rotation. If we show the path of every limb that we have, it will be some sort of arc or a figure of 8. Let me show an example. On the left side, I'm trying to rotate my head completely straight, and on the right, I'm doing it naturally. And look what happens with my nose. It dives down a little bit, it's rotating. On the left, it should be robotic and artificial, and on the right, much more natural. That's why you should use arches. I hope you learned something interesting and you will take those ideas and try to put them in your animation. And as usual, have fun and good luck.